You need to stop being sad and start getting mad. Greetings, beautiful beings. Welcome back to my channel, Rising with Rachel. I am Rachel, and together we rise in talking about all things cosmic and consciousness. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you're feeling like you want to send a little extra love. Maybe leave a comment down below. As much as I don't want to be a part of this silly little human earthly algorithm, I do want to be a part of spreading the messages that are so deeply needed in the collective consciousness right now. We are planting seeds here, guys, so that we can blossom into completely new realities, into living in the fifth dimensional earth, the higher frequency, love-based earth that earth was always designed to be. And it starts with you, me, and our awareness. So let's get into it. Today, I want to talk to you about why being angry is actually better than being sad. This was advice that I used to give my friends without even realizing that it was actually based in spiritual truth. And as I have been navigating along my own spiritual journey, I come to understand the energetics behind what I was saying and how it actually was true, that you should be mad instead of sad. First, it was something that I noticed within myself throughout my own experience. And I was like, you know what? Somehow I feel like I am more powerful when I am angry versus when I am depressed. Because if you have ever experienced actual depression, you will know that it is bedrotting. It is something that you feel like is bigger than you. It's this force that takes over you that makes you not want to eat or eat too much or not sleep at all or sleep too much, or days you can't even talk. Some days it's too much to just get up and go to the bathroom. Like when you are sat in feelings of depression, in lower vibrational feelings of sadness, you are sat in powerlessness. Now, this is where I'm going to introduce to you the emotional scale. I learned a lot about this scale through the teachings of Abraham Hicks, and it solidified for me what I knew to be true and essentially gave me all the evidence that I needed that I was actually onto something here and I was practicing a spiritual law. So when you look at the emotional scale, you will see that every emotion on this scale is vibrating at its own frequency that is measured in hertz. So you'll see the numbers next to the emotions. That's the frequency that they are vibrating at. What you will see on this emotional scale is that the feelings that are associated with sadness, grief, guilt, shame, those feelings that you find yourself in a cycle of when you are experiencing a deep sadness, those feelings are actually the lowest vibrating feelings on the emotional scale. You will actually see that anger is above the feelings of sadness. Now, when you look at the emotional scale, what you'll also notice is that when you look at the lower vibrational feelings, those sadness feelings, they are deeply associated with a sense of powerlessness. And as you go up the emotional scale, as you start to curate these emotions within you, these higher vibrational feelings, you are more in control of them because you do not just go from shame, the lowest vibrating feeling, to pure bliss and joy, the higher vibrational feelings. You have to climb this ladder. You have to go up each individual step and work through every emotion to get yourself up to the higher vibrational emotions. And doing this requires control. You have to be the one to acknowledge these lower vibrational feelings, but keep it pushing. You have to find ways to work around them, ways to transmute them, ways to acknowledge them, ways to nurture them. That requires control. So you'll see as you experience these lower vibrational feelings, they are associated with a deep sense of powerlessness. And as you work your way up the ladder, they are associated with a sense of control. Now, something as well is that you climb up this ladder and you start tapping into those higher vibrational feelings. That does not mean that those lower vibrational feelings disappear or that you have alchemized all of the sadness that you have ever felt or ever will feel. It means that now that you have had this taste of knowing what you can do, of knowing what you can curate, of knowing that even though you might be experiencing a feeling of grief, that you can also tap into happiness, that you have that control, that you know at any given time, in any moment, you have the conscious choice to climb up the ladder, to tap into this joy and bliss, even though you might be experiencing a lower vibrational feeling. That's the beautiful part about duality on this planet, right? The two can exist. You can be sad about something and be happy at the same time. Think about a breakup, for example. You can experience a lot of shame shame around this relationship and that maybe you wasted your time, maybe you wasted your energy, but at the same time, feel an insane amount of happiness for the fact that this person was the one to teach you these lessons, that you did have good memories with this person for the time being. They did bring you a lot of joy in a sense. Those two feelings can exist at once, but it is your conscious decision to be able to allow those feelings to happen at once. Otherwise, you get stuck in the cycles, because when you have the lower vibrational feelings of shame, for example, right? Because we live in a universe where the law of attraction is very real, what's going to happen is that thoughts that are at the same frequency as shame are going to appear in your being, and then those thoughts are going to create more feelings, and that's how you get stuck in the cycle. It's like a spinning fan, literally. And once you put your finger in that fan and say, no, I know that this is happening, my awareness of seeing the cycle, I can know exactly where to put my finger in it, put it to a stop, and decide to feel differently. And when I decide to feel differently, when I consciously choose to climb up this vibrational ladder, then that will, because of the law of attraction, bring in thoughts of the same frequency. And then all of a sudden, a new wheel is going to be spinning, and it's going to be a higher vibrational disc, like Abraham Hicks says. Obviously, this is not something that happens very easily, right? When you feel angry about something, you are going to continuously feel angry about it, probably for a while, but every time you think about the thing that angered you is a new opportunity to think differently. So the next time you think about the person that cheated on you, you have the opportunity to say, hey, listen, I know this memory is popping back up. However, I know my worth now. I know that that experience had nothing to do with me. I know that I am worthy of commitment. I am worthy of love. So this story is no longer needed. I release you now. I see you, I honor you, I love you, but now I am releasing you because are no longer a match. It takes a while to sweep things out under the rug, right? It's not that every time you vacuum, you've picked up every single piece of dust that exists on your floor. You're going to have to continue to pick up the little pieces of dust until eventually it is actually gone. But a lot of people will get stuck in thinking that they are in a wrong place because they are still experiencing lower vibrational feelings. Like, obviously nobody wants to sit in anger when they could be sitting in pure bliss, but it's important to acknowledge that if you're feeling anger, you are doing better than you did before when you were sitting in sadness, shame, grief, depression, the lower vibrational feelings that are associated with a deep powerlessness, because now you are starting to gain control. Now you are starting to put all the pieces together and start taking your power back. If you are feeling anger, you are actually in a higher vibrational place than had you been sitting in sadness and depression. And that is something that is worth giving yourself a pat on the back for. Now, yes, obviously you are still broadcasting the energy of anger. So that's where you have to understand how to really transmute your emotions and allow yourself to rage without giving yourself more karma, right? Because you're allowed to sit in feelings of anger without necessarily attracting more anger. But if you are not aware of your feelings and how to properly navigate them, then you will sit in an angry state and vibrate at the frequency of anger, meaning that you will attract more things to be angry about in your life. So instead, you need to acknowledge that you are at an angry state, but be doing things to actively counteract that and to actively be doing something to make yourself feel better. And this is how you transmute your feelings, actually, is you follow the path of least resistance. So you follow what feels best to you at any given point in time that you notice what emotional state that you're at. So if you are going about your day and you realize, listen, I might not be vibrating at the state of depression anymore, but now I'm vibrating at the state of anger. I am aware of this now, but I'm going to paint today. I'm going to throw paint at the wall if I don't feel like painting a mural. I'm going to go to a rage room and break a dish. I'm going to go on a hike. I'm going to go play with my dogs. I'm going to do whatever in those moments allows me to alchemize the feeling of anger. So you continue doing this. You continue following the path of least resistance until you start to notice that your new constant state had a higher vibrational emotion than anger. Well, let's say you went through a really hard breakup and you went through the sadness phase. You've been angry for the last few months, and now you're starting to notice that because you've been following the path of least resistance and you've been trying to alchemize your feelings of anger every time they arise, instead of collecting the thoughts that happen around anger like a little piggy bank, holding on to them, staying in the cycles of anger, which would mean you're vibrating at the overall frequency of anger, attracting more things to be angry about in your life. Instead of doing all that, like I said, you've been following the path of least resistance. You've been doing what feels good, understanding that you can coexist with this anger while still trying trying to do things that make you feel good, right? Make you feel peaceful, that help you raise your vibration. You've been doing this for a few months, and now you notice that your new vibrational state is that of pride, is that of the emotion right above anger on the emotional ladder. So maybe now you're sat in righteousness. Maybe instead of being angry about the relationship overall, you're sat in the feeling of knowing that you were right and knowing that you did the best you could. You moved with honesty and integrity, with your heart open on your sleeve, and that screw them, that they lost you. You notice that you're less angry and you're more sat in pride and righteousness. And guess what? That is your sign that you have just climbed up a new step on the emotional scale. Now, after you become aware of this new emotional state that you are vibrating at, you can ask what this new state needs from you. Oh, okay. So in order to get out of righteousness, I have to sit with acceptance. And when I sit with acceptance of righteousness and I really investigate, why is it that I need to feel above this person or point the finger at this person? Why can't I just see this in this more neutral fashion, in this more accepting way of it is what it is, and it was never personal, it was vibrational, and see it for what it was. That way I can take those gems, those wisdoms, that knowledge forward with me into my own awareness, into my next chapter, etc., which would then allow you to start vibrating at a more neutral state, right? You would stop attaching to the specifics of the story of who's right and wrong, who's good and bad. You would just start seeing things for what they are, things as the melodrama that had to happen, that had to play out in order for you to come to specific awarenesses to move on with your life, how it plays into the bigger picture. When you are in this more neutral space, then congratulations. Once again, you have hit a new point on the emotional scale. Then it happens again. You start to feel more neutral. And every time you have thoughts of the experience that you went through, you'll probably notice that whole scale of emotions kind of rise within you, right? Like you'll feel at the same time all at once the sadness that you had once associated with the relationship, the anger, righteousness, but your new place of homeostasis will be at neutrality. So you'll see it for what it all is without needing to deeply feel all of the emotions that you once did, feeling those feelings of powerlessness, like they were controlling you, those emotions, and instead realize that you are allowed to feel them, to let them come and go, ebb and flow as they're supposed to, but stay at this constant of neutrality. And then when you have thoughts and feelings that arise that remind you of that past experience and the riding of that emotional scale, you will sit then at the next level, which is acceptance, of accepting that everything had to be the way it was, and you'll feel more peace and bliss. And eventually, as you climb up that scale, you'll start to feel happiness around your experience and actually be grateful for all of the horrible things that you endured. Because as you start climbing up this emotional scale and you start vibrating at a higher frequency, the universe in real time is going to be attracting to you experiences of these similar higher frequencies that you are now hitting. So when you open your eyes and you are living a completely different life out of nowhere, it's been a year, the experience is done, and you are a completely new person living in a completely new reality in which you are more peaceful and happy. That's when you'll start to realize, oh wow, I can actually feel happiness about all of this. I can feel joy and bliss and acceptance about all of this. And then boom, you're at the top of the emotional scale. It's all a process of calibration, and you are always calibrating with the universe, right? You are always figuring out day by day what works by what doesn't work. You realize you can't take a hot pan out of an oven without an oven mitt the second that you go and reach for it with your bare hands. You'll know that you can't stand too close to the edge of a pool without potential of falling in after you fall in. You know that cars are not supposed to be washed with a sponge after you try to wash your car with a sponge and scratch it. So the truth is that you are constantly recalibrating everything, everywhere, all over the place in your life, but especially within your emotions. And all it takes is a little bit of conscious awareness to climb up this emotional scale. And like I said earlier, once you hit those higher vibrational feelings, it's not that you never experience lower vibrational feelings again. It's just that once you have had that taste of heaven, that taste of source, that taste of oneness with everything that is around you, it is way easier to tap back into. It's honestly the same as psychedelics for all of my friends on their journey that have had a taste of mama mushroom. Like once you have experienced the feeling of a trip, you will never forget the feeling of a trip. You will always be able to tap back into that, to remember what you learned during that experience. That level of consciousness is always available for you to tap into because you hit it. But if you have never set foot in that experience, then you wouldn't know what's available for you to tap into. If the second that you have found and tapped into this this happiness and bliss that you've curated, that you now understand after curating it, that it's been all around you the entire time, available for you to tap into. You can remember those feelings when you are in those lower vibrational states of sadness and grief. You can say, oh yeah, that experience was great. Let me get back to there mentally through my emotions, through the remembrance of what that experience is like. Because again, the law of attraction is real. So if you start tapping into those feelings of happiness that you remember from having had access to it, then thoughts will follow those feelings and feelings will follow those thoughts. And now you're in a whole new cycle. The truth of the matter is also you can hit this new level either way. It doesn't matter. There is no right way to climb up this scale. If you are feeling lower vibrational feelings of sadness and anger and you need to think your way into a higher vibrational state of feeling, then do so. If you need to think about happy memories that then allow those happy feelings to come, do so. Or if you are more in your body and you're more able to curate the feelings of happiness, you are more able to tap into the feeling now and let the thoughts follow, that is also the other way to get in. There is no right way. It's whatever feels right for you. It's about following the path of least resistance and doing what is right for you in every now moment. And alongside all of this as well is the fact that you cannot stay attached to any of your emotions, because like I said, the law of attraction is real. So when you have a particular feeling, thoughts of that frequency will follow that feeling to help emphasize the feeling, which will bring about more thoughts, more feelings, more thoughts. It's important to remember that when you're sticking your finger in that ceiling fan and deciding to stop the cycle, you are also saying that I am not attached to my emotions, because I am not my emotions. You are aware that feelings are just supposed to come and go, ebb and flow, and that you are none of them. You are still there and the depression is gone and the happiness is there, in the same way that you are there when the happiness is gone and the depression is there. You are always present. You are the creator. You are the one that's in control. You are the one who has the awareness, who has the consciousness to decide to move differently, to feel differently, to design and tap into a brand new experience and reality. You can't attach to whatever feelings come up, because then you start attaching to the thoughts, which reinforces the attachment to the feelings, and you start getting stuck in that cycle. The cycles get easier to break out of, the ladder gets easier to climb when you really believe and understand that you are not your feelings, you are not your emotions, you are not your thoughts that come with those things. You are so much more than that. So understand as well that your emotions are meant to come and go, and that is the key that allows you to more easily navigate this emotional scale and allow yourself to move up and down it without judgment, without attachment, like feeling happiness and thinking that you always have to be at that place, or sitting in sadness and thinking that you will forever be in that place. It's knowing that it's an ebb and flow, it's an up and down. We are multidimensional beings. You are not supposed to experience one thing the rest of your life, no matter what it is, a thought, a feeling, an experience, a person. You are meant to ebb and flow. You are constantly changing. Change is actually the only thing that's constant in this life. Give yourself the grace to ebb and flow through this scale, to realize that you are not your emotions, to see it for all of the melodrama that it is, and realize that you are none of it, because you are still there beyond those experiences. There is an observer that is watching those feelings and thoughts come and go, and that is you. That is the truth of who you are, that essence of spirit that sits behind all of the human stuff. Just see it as a melodrama for what it is. Give yourself grace, give yourself patience, give yourself love, give yourself understanding. Ask yourself the hard questions. Why are you stuck in depression? Why are you stuck in anger? Why are you stuck in righteousness? How can you make yourself feel better? What can you do in this now moment to make yourself feel 1% better than you did before? Give yourself a pat on the back for every time you do climb up the emotional ladder, for realizing, you know what, I woke up angry today instead of depressed. And yes, obviously that's still not a place I would love to be, but it's better than where I was yesterday. Doing that in itself allows you to build momentum to keep climbing up that scale, because bestie news flash, the only person that's going to be there for you is you. No one is going to save you. You have to save yourself. The universe isolates you so that you can really do this inner work, so that you can look your shadows in the face and actually alchemize them, because the universe wants you to be abundant and wants you to be happy. And again, those higher vibrational feelings will be your new homeostasis, will be your new constant. But until you're at that place, it is you versus you. So get to work, start doing the work, start asking the questions, start sitting with the discomfort, start sitting with the anger, the sadness, and ask it what it needs from you in order to move on, in order to climb up that scale. Give yourself the permission to climb up that scale, right? Because a lot of the times we stay stuck in emotional cycles because it feels comfortable to us, because it's all we've ever known. Give yourself the permission to move on, to grow outside of the borders of what it is that you've known your entire life, because abundance, happiness, bliss, peace, they are all your birthright. That is supposed to be your constant. Again, just to reiterate right? That doesn't mean that you will not experience lower vibrational feelings. It just means that you know you are the creator, you are in control, and that you can more easily access those higher vibrational feelings and allow them to dominate the lower vibrational feelings because you will know them as truth. Your gut feelings are your internal GPS, always pointing you to where you got to go, but they are also your guardian angels. So start paying attention to them, start working with them. They are not your enemy. Start flashing the flashlight under that rug that you've been sweeping all your emotions under and start dusting it out. Start getting to work. I'm telling you, it is the most rewarding experience because life gets overall easier when you are able to step into those higher vibrational feelings consciously, especially when you are in moments of dealing with experiences that bring about those lower vibrational feelings. So tell all your friends, get mad, not sad. Then maybe send them the link to this video to explain why. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. It's an honor to deliver these messages to you that I feel are so deeply needed right now. We are on the forefront of a spiritual revolution, as I mentioned earlier, where we work on ourselves. We are implementing positive, higher vibrational energy into Earth's crystalline grid system that everybody has access to at every given point in time, whether they consciously realize it or not. They are tapping into it. And because of us, because of our inner work and the energy we are implementing into this grid, other people around the planet are able to start waking up to the truth of what is, to the truth that Earth was always supposed to be this fifth dimensional planet based in love, not rooted in fear and power and control and all the ways that the 3D matrix has found a way to make it. Just through us, through these conversations that we are having, that we are starting with others, are allowing other people on this planet to wake up. And it's a miracle and an honor to be on this journey with you. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here with me. I see you, soldier. I honor you. I love you. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.